Hi everyone. Today we are going to present to you about sauce and stock. So before we start presenting, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Imam Razim Razali. My metric number is F1038.
Hi everyone, my name is Fatih Shazana binti Mustafa. My metric number is F1018.
Hi, my name is Aiman Fidas bin Muhammad. My metric number is F10034.
My name is Noraida Sajida Metia Maris. My metric number is F1020.
Hi, my name is Mama Amin bin Soimi. My matrix number is F1004. So enjoy the video.
Alright, let's go to the video.
So firstly, the concept of stock and sauce. The concept for the stock, the importance of stock in the kitchen is indicated by the French word for stock, which meaning fond, meaning foundation or base. So for the classical cuisine, the ability to prepare good stock is the most basic of all skill because so much of the work of the entire kitchen depends on them. A good stock is the foundation of soups, sauce, and most braised food and stew. For the modern kitchen, stock have lost much of the importance they once had. Nevertheless, the finest cuisine still depends on soup and sauce based on high quality stock. So stock making remains an essential skill. The stock may be defined as a clear, thin, that is unthickened liquid, flavored by soluble substance extracted from meat, poultry and fish and their bones, and from vegetable and seasoning. Our objective in preparing stock is to select the proper ingredient and then to extract the flavor. We want, in other words, to combine the correct ingredient with correct procedure. Next is concept of sauce. A sauce works like a seasoning. It enhances and accents the flavor of the food. It should not dominate or hide the food. A good cooks know that sauce are as valuable as salt and pepper. A simple grilled steak is made even better when it has an added touch. Something as simple as a slice of seasoned butter melting on it, or as refined as a spoonful of Mayonnaise sauce. So next, I pass the presentation to Fatih Shazada.
Hi, see you again with me. So I will continue this presentation, which is about list the basic ingredient in making of stock and sauce. So I will start the basic ingredient in making a sauce. First is the basic ingredient, which is a buns. Buns are the major ingredient of stock, except water of course, derived from the bones of beef, veal, chicken, fish, and occasionally lamb, pork, ham, and game. The kinds of bones used determine the kind of stock, which is chicken stock. Of course, we're going to use chicken bones. White stock, beef or veal bones, or a combination of the two. Brown stock, beef or veal bones that have been browned on oven. Fish stock, fish bones and trimming left over after filtering. So for the next basic ingredient to making in sauce, which is we're going to have a meat. But because of this cost yang tinggi, so meat is jarang guna dalam stock making anymore. Exception chicken hearts and gizzard are often used in the chicken stock. Broth is produced is cooked for dishes like cream chicken. These broths can then be used like a stock. Next is my point. Second most important contributors of flavor to stock. It is basic flavoring preparation used in all areas of cooking, not only for flavoring stocks but also for sauces, soups, meat, poultry, fish, and vegetables. But mostly chef don't prefer to standard my pox rather than white my pork for all stock. And then the last is chop the vegetable coarsely into pieces of relative uniform size, because kita nak masuk ke dalam sauce, kita perlukan size yang sama dalam quantity yang sama. And the next is acid products. Acid products help dissolve to connective tissues. used in the stock making to extract flavor and body from bones. Tomato products contribute flavor and some acid to the brown stock, but actually the acid product is not used in the stock, white stock and the brown stock, because in the white stock, the acid product that will give a undesirable flavor. And then for making a brown stock, most of the chefs be careful to add on too much tomato, because acid product which can make a stock very cloudy. But wine is occasionally used, especially for the fish stock, because the acid product is probably more important than its acidity. So for the next is scraps and leftover. In some kitchen, a stock pot is kept going all day and scraps are constantly being thrown in. But actually, it's not a good idea because sangat membazir. So, some kitchen is save the scraps and leftover to be trimmings and use them in a planned way than to throw them into a stock randomly sebagai perhiasan lah. So for the next is seasoning and spices. Garam selalunya dia tak gunakan dalam when we are making for a stock. Stock are never used as is, but it reduced, concentrate, and combined with other ingredients. Herb and spices should be used only for the likely. Next is ingredient proportion. Many cooks use ratios to help them remember the basic proportion. So berdasarkan slide yang ada ni, kita boleh lihat bones have a 18%, my pots 10%, and the water of course 100%. And for the last is basic ingredient for vegetable stocks. Vegetable stock made without any animal products, also a vegetable and also used in the more traditional kitchen in response to customer requests for light and helpful dishes. Here are a few additional guidelines in the slide, which is first is best cooking time which is 30 until 45 minutes. Starchy vegetables such as potato, sweet potatoes, and winter squash make a stock cloudy. Use them only if clarity is not important. Dark green leafy vegetable, especially spinach, develop an unpleasant flavor when cooked a long time. Sweeten the vegetable in a small amount of oil before adding water. So for the next is sauce. Before we get a sauce, we have to continue with the first process, which is make a leading sauce, which is liquid and thickening agent, and I will explain for the next slide. So before that, I want to explain how to get a small sauces, and then after we done a leading sauce, and we proceed to the small sauces, which is leading sauce 32, and then we combine with additional flavoring, and we get a small sauces. So for this slide, I will explain how to make a leading sauce. What I said before that, for make a leading sauce, we have to combine a liquid with the thickening agent, and we get a leading sauce. So what the example of the liquid? Example for the liquid, like milk, white stock, brown stock, tomato plus stock, and the butter. And what is this thickening agent? Thickening agent like white or blue rock, brown rock, and egg yolks. But for the tomato plus stock, we get on to add rock, because for the tomato sauce, all the tomato sauce, which is too natural stick, so we don't have to put a rock in the leading sauce. So when we combine a liquid and the thickening agent, we get it a leading sauce like a bechamel sauce, velvety, brown sauce, or Espanol, tomato sauce, and Hollandaise. So next is small sauce. What the basic ingredient for the small sauce? The basic ingredient first of the white sauce is milk, white beef stock, chicken stock, and the fish stock. And we add combine with the leading sauce, which is bechamel, beef volute, chicken volute, and fish volute. And then we add on a secondary leading sauce, which is almond, supreme, and white wine sauce. And then we combine the three of the basic ingredients, leading sauce and secondary leading sauce, and then we make a small sauce, which is dalam slide ni, yang all the small sauce we get after we combine with the three of this. And then, what the basic ingredient for a brown sauce, red sauce and butter sauce? First is brown sauce. The basic ingredient for brown sauce, which is a brown stock of course. And then we combine with the leading sauce, which is Espanol and Foodly. And then we combine with the secondary leading sauce, which is a demi-glace, and we get the all types of small sauces of the brown sauce. And then the basic ingredient for red sauce, of course, a tomato plus stock. And then we combine with the leading sauce, which is a tomato sauce, and we get a small sauce like a Creole, Portuguese, and Spanish. And for the last basic ingredient for a butter sauce, the butter sauce, we have to get a butter, and then we combine with a leading sauce, which is a Hollandaise and Bernaise, and then we get a small sauce like a Maltese, Mousseline, Coron, and Foyer. So that's all the basic ingredient of the stock and sauce. And then we will continue this presentation for the next presenter.
Thank you, Fatih. Now I will continue about 55 types of stock and sauce. My name is Muhammad. My method number is 10D20F1034. Okay, type of stock. White stock. White stock is made with a white meat of beef, veal bone, chicken, carcasses, and aromatic vegetable. The bone meat are put in cold liquid and slowly poached to a boil. Used for white sauce, blanquette, French ice, and poached dishes. The mixture is reduced to a simmer to finish cooking. A good white stock has rich, full flavor, good body and clarity, and little or no color. Chicken stock may have a little yellow color. Second is blanching bone. A process whereby the ingredients are covered with cold water and brought to a boil. Blanching is not extension. However, it helps to ensure a very clear bone and or stock. During the process, some of the protein coagulate on the surface of the meat may be removed. In short, they serve as a pre-treatment of meat before the cooking process. However, blanching can also be used to good effect with meat. This is less common in home kitchen but a familiar practice in a restaurant. Next, remoulade. Remoulade is a stock made from bone that we already used once to make stock. The literal meaning of the French term is riveting, because not all possible flavor and gelatin is extracted from bone when making a stock. Making a remoulade allows the chef to extract a little more value from the bone. The resulting liquid will not be as clear or flavorful as the original stock, but it will have some use. The stock is weaker than the first stock and is sometimes called the second stock. It is sometimes used for water in making another stock, or is used to make a glaze. Next, brown stock. The brown stock is made with beef, veal, and poultry meat and bone. Brown stock is used for brown sauce and gravy, braised dish, and meat glaze. The main point is ended when the bone are 3/4 roasted. Tomato product may also be added. The bone are roasted until golden in color, not burnt. When the bone are made pots are golden in color, the cold liquid is added and the mixture is slowly brought to a boil, then reducing to a simmer to finish cooking. So you can look at the picture. It is a brown stock. Fish stock. Fish stock is a category separately from the other basic stock because of its limited usage. The type of stock is useful for soup and similar seafood preparation. For sauce, chefs usually prefer a more flavorful fish stock called a fumet. A fish fumet is made by fish sweetening the bone and melting in fat. However, the important thing is that the fish is fresh and that its flesh is white. Next, vegetable stock. Vegetable stock is used generally in vegetarian cooking and variety. It is natural stock composed of vegetable and aromatic herbs, salted gently in butter, then cooked in the liquid. Often the less desirable part of the vegetable, such as carrot skin and celery end, are used for preparing the veg stock since they will not be eaten. This relatively new type of stock is genuine and popular in the culinary world. It is often used as a replacement for boiling and other meat stock like chicken stock. Next, Dashi. Dashi is a family of stock used in Japanese cuisine, clear fish and carrot bone. Dashi from the base from miso soup, clear bowl soup, noodle bowl soup, and many simmering liquid to accentuate the savory flavor, now umami. Dashi is also mixed into the flour base of some grilled food like okonomiyaki and takoyaki. For instance, dashi is often used as a substitute for dashi. Depending on the type of curry, dashi can also be ended with shoyu, meaning salted soy sauce, mirin, vinegar, and miso.
Next, I will explain about type of mother sauce. First is Bechamel sauce, also known as white sauce, consists of meat thickened with equal part of flour and butter. Butter and flour combination known as a roux. This sauce used for chicken, macaroni cheese, vegetable bake, and chicken pot. Next is tomato sauce, made from stock, ham or pork, and tomato products seasoned with spice and herbs. The key to making this sauce is to simmer it until it thickens. Tomato sauce tastes delicious on pasta and bread chicken. Next is mayonnaise sauce. Consists of oil, egg yolk, and vinegar or lemon juice. The sauce is thick and creamy. This sauce used in variety of dish such as pasta salad, deviled egg, and coleslaw. Next is velouté sauce, known as dairy-free version of bechamel. It's a French word meaning velvet. Like stock come from the unroasted bone of chicken, fish, or veal. The thin sauce get thickened with a roux, served on poultry or seafood dish. Next is Espanol. This sauce is known as brown sauce. This sauce made from brown stock. Because of the strong taste, Espanol is rarely used directly on food. Lastly is Hollandaise sauce. Rich sauce featuring egg yolk and butter, often used as a topping. Hollandaise is also used on salmon, chicken breast, broccoli, and also asparagus.
Okay, thank you, Aiman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I will continue the presentation. Determine the procedures in making stock and sauces. Making stock may seem at first glance a simple procedure. Many steps are involved, each with a rather complicated set of reasons. If you are to be successful at making consistently good stocks, you must understand not only what to do, but also why you are doing it. Okay, I will present about the procedure for stock first. Blanching bones. The purpose of blanching bone is to rid them of some of the impurities that cause cloudiness. The bones of young animals, especially veal and chicken, are highest in blood and other impurities that cloud in discolored stock. Procedure for blanching bones. The first step is rinse the bones in cold water. This wash off blood and other impurities from the surface. It is especially important if the bones are not strictly fresh. Next, place the bones in a stock pot or steam jacket kettle and cover with cold water. Impurities dissolve more readily in cold water. Hot water retards extraction. Okay, the third step is bring the water to a boil. As the water heats, impurities solidify, coagulate, and rise to the surface as scum. Okay, the last one, drain the bones and rinse them well. The bones are now ready for the stock pot. White stocks. A good white stock has rich, full flavor, good body, clarity, and little or no color. Chicken stock may have a light yellow color. Procedure for preparing white stock. The first step is rinse the bones in cold water. If desired, chicken, veal, or beef bones may be blanched, and place the bones in a stock pot and cover with cold water. The second step is bring water to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. Place the bones in a stock pot and cover with cold water. Next, add the chopped mirepoix, the herbs, spices, and a sachet. The step number 4: do not let the stock boil. Keep it at a low simmer and skim the surface as often as necessary during cooking. Next, simmer for the recommended length of time. For beef bones, 8 to 10 hours. Chicken bones, 3 to 4 hours. Veal bones, 6 to 8 hours. And fish bones, 30 to 45 minutes. Skim the surface and strain of the stock through a china cup lined with several layers of cheesecloth. Okay, the last step, cool the stock as quickly as possible. When cool, refrigerate the stock in covered containers. Brown stocks. The difference between brown stock and white stock is that the bones and mirepoix are bonded for the brown stocks. Procedure for preparing brown stocks. Do not wash or blanch the bones. The moisture will hinder browning. Roast the bones in a moderately hot oven until well brown. When the bones are well brown, place the bones in a stock pot and add the appropriate amount of water. Drain and reserve the fat from the roasting pan. Deglaze the pan by adding water and stirring overheat until all the brown drippings are dissolved or loosened. Add to the stock pot. Next, while the stock is getting started, place the mirepoix in the roasting pan with some of the reserved fat and brown the vegetable well in the oven and add the tomato product to the mirepoix. Continue to brown until the tomato product turns a rusty brown color. When the water in the stock pot comes to a simmer, skim and continue as for white stock, and add the brown vegetables and the tomato product to the stock pot. If desired, they may be had out 2 to 3 hours before the end of the cooking time. And the last step is continue as for white stock. Fish stocks. A standard fish stock is made the same way as a white stock. This type of stock is useful for soups and similar seafood preparation. Procedure for preparing fish stocks. The first step is review instruction for stock preparation like a white stock. Place all ingredients in a stock pot. Bring to a simmer. Simmer 45 minutes, skimming as necessary to remove scum. Strain through a china cup, lined with several layers of cheesecloth. And the last step is cool stock, vented in a cold water bath and refrigerate. Fish pomade. Procedure for preparing fish pomade. Butter the bottom of a heavy stock pot or sauce pot. Place the mirepoix in bottom of pot and the bones over top of it. Cover bones loosely with a round of brown paper or bechamel. Set pot over low heat and cook slowly about 5 minutes or until bones are opaque and begins to exude juice and bring to a simmer, and then add the sachet and water to cover. Okay, the last step is bring to a simmer again, skim and let simmer 30 to 45 minutes. Strain to a china cup, line it with several layers of cheese close, cool, vented in cold water, bath and refrigerate. Demolish. Demolish is a stock made from bones that were already used once to make stock. Making a demolish allows the chef to extract a little more value from the bones. The resulting liquid will not be as clear or flavorful as the original stock, but it does have some uses. Procedure for preparing demolish. Discard the mirepoix and herb sachet after draining a finished stock. Add fresh mirepoix and sachet to the bones, cover with fresh cold water and simmer about 4 hours. Drain and cool as for regular stock. Vegetable stock. Procedure for preparing vegetable stock. Heat oil in a stock pot of a medium heat. Add mirepoix leeks, mushrooms, turnip, fennel and garlic. Sweet for 10 minutes. Stir as necessary so vegetables do not brown. Add tomatoes, add water and sachet. Bring to a simmer and simmer 55 minutes. Strain and cool in a water bath. Dashi. Basic Japanese stock called dashi is quickly and easily made. Dashi is used in soups and dipping sauces as well as other dishes. Procedure for preparing dashi. Put the water in a pot and add kombu. Bring to a boil of a moderately high heat. Just as water comes to a boil, remove the kombu. Remove from heat and immediately add bonito flakes. Let the flakes settle to bottom. This will take 1 to 2 minutes. Strain to a china cup, line with cheese cloth. Use dashi within 1 day. Okay, now we go to sauce. Bechamel sauce. Procedure for preparing bechamel sauce. Combine butter and flour to make a roll. Cook the roll, keeping it white. Gradually add the milk to the roll, beating constantly. Stick the bay leaf to the onion with clove and add to sauce. Simmer at least 15 minutes or more. Stir occasionally while cooking. Season very lightly with salt, nutmeg and white pepper. Spice flavors should not dominate. And the last step, strain the finished sauce through a china cup, line with cheese cloth and keep hot in a bain-marie or cool in a cold water bath for later use. White wine sauce. Procedure for preparing white wine sauce. Reduce the wine by half in a saucepan and add the volume and simmer until reduced to desired consistency. Slowly stir in the hot or tempered cream. Remove from heat and swirl in raw butter pieces. Season to taste with salt, white pepper and a few drops of lemon juice. Strain through cheese cloth. Velvety sauce. Veal chicken or fish. Procedure for preparing velvety sauce. The first step is heat the clarified butter in a heavy sauce pot over low heat. Add mirepoix and sweet the vegetable without burning them. Add flour and make a blanc roll. Cool roll slightly. Gradually add the stock to the roll. Add beating constantly. Bring to a boil, stirring constantly. Reducing to heat simmer and add the sachet. Simmer the sauce very slowly for 1 hour. Stir occasionally and skim surface when necessary. And the last step, strain the finished sauce through a china cup, line with cheese cloth. Keep hot in a bain-marie or cool in cold water, but for later use. Soup cream sauce. Procedure for preparing soup cream sauce. Place velouté in a saucepan and simmer over moderate heat until reduced by about 1/4. Stir occasionally. Pour the cream into a stainless steel bowl and temper it by slowly stirring in a little of the hot sauce. Stir this mixture slowly back into the sauce in the pan and return the sauce just to a simmer. Swirl in raw butter pieces. Season to taste with salt, with pepper, and a few drops of lemon juice. Stir and throw cheesecloth. Hollandaise sauce. Procedure for preparing Hollandaise sauce. Place volatil in a saucepan and simmer a few minutes over moderate heat until slightly reduced. Beat the egg yolks and cream together in a stainless steel bowl. Temper the raisin by slowly beating in about one-third of the hot sauce. Then slowly stir this mixture back into the sauce in the pan. Heat to just below simmering. Do not boil. Add lemon juice, salt, and white pepper to taste. Strain through cheese. Fondue or jus letu. Procedure for preparing fondue or jus letu. Bring the stock to a boil in a saucepan. Reduce heat to a simmer. Dissolve the starch in a small amount of cold stock or water. Stir it into the simmering stock. Simmer until thickened and clear. Espanol or brown sauce. Procedure for preparing espanol or brown sauce. Saute the mirepoix in the butter until well brown. Mix in flour and cook to make a brown roll. Gradually stir in stock and tomato puree, stirring constantly until the mixture comes to a boil. Whip in the stock, add the sachet and simmer about 2 hours. Strain the finished sauce through a china cup lined with cheesecloth. Finish brown sauce or Espanol. Demi-glace. Procedure for preparing demi-glace. Combine the sauce and stock in a saucepan and simmer until reduced by half. Strain through a chinoise fine china cup or a regular china cup lined with cheesecloth. Cover to prevent skin from forming. Keep hot in a bain-marie or cool in a cold water bath for later use. Tomato sauce. Procedure for preparing tomato sauce. Render the soft pork in a heavy saucepot, but do not brown it. Add the onion and carrots and saute until slightly softened, but do not brown. Add the tomatoes and their juice, tomato puree, bones and sachet. Bring to a boil, reduce heat and simmer over very low heat, 11 to 2 hours, or until reduced to desired consistency. Remove sachet and bones, strain sauce or pass it through a food mill. Adjust seasoning with salt and a little sugar. Butter sauces. Procedure for clarifying butter. Melt the butter in a heavy saucepan over moderate heat. Skim the fat from the surface. Carefully pour off the clear melted butter into another container, leaving the milky liquid at the bottom of the saucepan. Melted hotel butter. Procedure for preparing melted hotel butter. Using a mixture with the pedal attachment. Beat the butter at low speed until smooth and creamy. Add remaining ingredients and beat slowly until completely mixed. Roll the butter into a cylinder. Stick in a sheet of parchment or waxed paper. Chill until firm. To serve, cut slice 1 per 4 inch or 1 per 2 centimeter thick and place on broiled or grilled item just before service. Beer Blanche. Procedure for preparing beer Blanche. Combine wine, vinegar and shallots in a saucepan. Cut the butter into small pieces. Add the butter to the hot reduction. Set pan over moderately high heat and wipe vigorously season to taste. Shallot may be left in sauce or strained out. Hold the sauce in a warm, not hot, place until served. Stir or whip it from time to time. Pan gravies. Procedure for making pan gravy. Remove the roast from the roasting pan. Clarify the fat. Deglaze the pan. Combine white stock and simmer and make a roux, or alternatively a slurry of arrowroot or cornstarch and water. Thicken the gravy with the raw or stretched slurry. Strain and adjust seasonings. Hollandaise and Mayonnaise. Procedure for making Hollandaise sauce. Clarify the butter. Keep the butter warm but not hot. Place the egg yolks and cold water in a stainless steel bowl and beat well. Beat in a few drops of lemon juice. Hold the bowl over a hot water bath and continue to beat until the yolks are thickened and creamy. Remove the bowl from the heat using a ladle. Slowly and gradually beat in the warm butter, drop by drop at first. When the butter is all add, beat in lemon juice to taste and adjust seasoning with salt and cayenne. Keep warm, not hot for service. Mayonnaise sauce. Procedure for making mayonnaise sauce. Clarify the butter. Keep the butter warm but not hot. Combine the shallots, vinegar, tarragon, and peppercorns in a saucepan and reduce by 3/4. Remove from heat and cool slightly. Beat with a wire whip. Transfer the reduction to a stainless steel bowl. Use a clean rubber spatula to make sure you get it all. Let the reduction cool a little. Add the egg yolks to the bowl and beat well. Hold the bowl over a hot water bath and continue to beat the yolks until thickened and creamy. Remove the bowl from the heat using a ladle. Slowly and gradually beat in the warm, clarified butter, drop by drop at first. Strain the sauce, throw cheesecloth, and keep warm, not hot, for service. Roast and juice. Procedure for making a meat juice. Cut trimming of desired meat or poultry product into small pieces. Place them in a heavy pot over moderate heat. Cook until well brown on all sides. Some liquid will be released from the meat. If the trimmings begin to simmer in these juices, instead of browning, just let them until the liquid has evaporated and brown on the bottom of the pot. Deglaze with a small quantity of our stock. Continue to cook until the liquid is reduced and the juices again caramelized on the bottom. Stir to dissolve the caramelized juice on the bottom of the pot. Simmer until the liquid is completely reduced and caramelized. Stir to dissolve the caramelized juices. Simmer 10 to 15 minutes. Strain and decrease. Cream reductions. Procedure for making a cream reduction sauce. Reduce white stock or brown stock by about 3/4 or until it is concentrated and flavorful. Measure the reduction for each one pint. 500 milliliters reduction. Measure about 11 per 2 pints. 700 for 55 milliliters heavy cream. Place the cream in a heavy saucepan over moderate heat and reduce until lightly thickened or until reduced by about 1/3. Stir from time to time with a whisk. Bring the stock reduction to a simmer in a saucepan. Stir in the reduced cream. Check the consistency. Thicken if necessary by reducing further or thin with additional heavy cream. Season and stir. Flavored oils. Procedure for making flavored oils. Prepare the flavoring ingredients. Chop fresh roots or strong herbs. Grate citrus zest. Blanch tender herbs in boiling water for 10 seconds. Drain immediately and refresh under cold water. Gently heat dried ground spices in a small amount of oil just until they start to give off an aroma. Place the flavoring ingredient in a jar or other closable container. Add oil. Close the jar and shake it well. Let stand 30 minutes at room temperature. Then refrigerate. Mushroom juice. Procedure for making mushroom juice. Place the mushroom and add the first quantity of water in a stock pot. Bring to a boil, reduce the heat to a rapid simmer and cook until most of the liquid has evaporated. Add the second quantity of water and repeat the reduction process. Add the third quantity of water, reduce by 3/4. Strain through a china cup lined with cheesecloth. Pressing on the mushrooms to extract as much liquid as possible. To use or to finish as a sauce, see variations. Sweet corn and chili puree. Procedure for making sweet corn and chili puree. Heat the oil in a saute pan. Add the onion, garlic, and chilies. Saute over moderate heat until the onion is soft but not brown. Add the corn, cook stirring a few times until the corn is hot. Add the water, simmer about 3 minutes. Transfer the mixture to a food processor and puree until fairly smooth. Adjust the texture as necessary by adding additional water or by returning to the pan and reducing slightly. The desired texture may vary depending on use. For smoothest texture, pass the sauce through a food mill. Add salt to taste. Bell pepper Caulis. Procedure for making bell pepper Caulis. Split pepper in half lengthwise. Remove cores, seeds and membranes. Chop coarsely. Heat the olive oil in a saucepot over low heat. Add the shallots and peppers. Cover and sweet over low heat until vegetables are soft. About 20 minutes. Add stock or water. Simmer 2 to 3 minutes. Puree the vegetables and liquid in a blender. Then pass through a strainer. Adjust the texture by adding water or stock to thin it. Add salt and white pepper to taste. White bean puree. Procedure for making white bean puree. Combine the beans, garlic, tomato paste, lemon juice, paprika, cayenne, and water in a food processor. Process to a smooth paste. With the processor running, pour in the olive oil in a thin stream. The resulting puree should have the consistency of a moderately thickened sauce seasoned to taste with salt. Sour cream sauce. Procedure for making sour cream sauce. Sweet the onions in the butter until soft. Add the wine and reduce by 3/4. Stir in the sour cream. Simmer until reduced to desired consistency, about 5 minutes. Season to taste with a few drops of lemon juice and a little cayenne, salt and pepper. Cream sauce for fish. Procedure for making cream sauce for fish. Sweet the shallots in butter until soft. Add stock, wine, parsley, and bay leaf over moderate or high heat. Reduce the liquid by 3/4. Add the cream and bring to a boil. Boil 1 to 2 minutes or until reduced to a light sauce-like consistency. Season to taste with lemon juice, salt, and white pepper. That's all from me. The presentation will continue by Imam. Thank you.
Thank you, Amin. So next is procedure for making Chipotle cream sauce. Firstly is combine the stock and chives in a sauce pot. Bring to a slow simmer. Simmer until reduced by 3/4. While the stock is reducing, place the cream in a second sauce pot and reduce by 1/3. Secondly, stir the reduced cream into the reduced stock. The sauce should be about the thickness of heavy cream. The consistency depends on the gelatin product of the stock and fat content of the cream. Thirdly and lastly, season to taste with salt and white pepper. Strain and discard chives. Next is procedure for making salsa verde cocida. First is drain the tomatillos. Combine tomatillos, onion, garlic, chives, and cilantro in the blender. Blend to a smooth puree. Secondly, heat the oil in a large saucepan. Add the puree and cook 4 to 5 minutes or until slightly thickened. Season to taste with salt. Next is the procedure for making Ancho sauce. Firstly, toast the chilies lying in dry skillet until softened. Split open, remove and discard seeds and core. Soak chili about 30 minutes in enough hot water to cover. Drain it. Combine chilies, onion, garlic, cumin, oregano, and water or stock in a blender. Blend to a smooth puree. Heat the oil in a saucepan and add the chili puree. Simmer to 3 minutes. Season to taste with salt. Next is a procedure for making chimichurri sauce. Combine all ingredients and mix well. Then serve as a sauce for grilled meats. Next is a procedure for making vegetable caprese. Firstly, heat the olive oil in a saute pan over low heat. Add the carrot, zucchini, fennel, and shallots. Sweat and just until the vegetables soften slightly. In a bowl, combine the sweetened vegetable with the red pepper, cucumber, capers, and vinegar. Mix well. Season to taste with salt. Refrigerate several hours or overnight before serving. Next is a procedure for making tomato raisin chutney. Blanch the tomatoes in a boiling water to loosen skins. Peel and trim. Cut tomatoes into quarters. Combine the garlic, ginger, and first quantity of vinegar in a blender and blend until smooth. Next is combine the tomatoes, garlic mixture, second quantity of vinegar, sugar and salt in a stainless steel saucepan. Bring the mixture to a boil, stirring to dissolve the sugar. Cook at a slow simmer, stirring occasionally until the mixture becomes thick. Add the chilies and raisin. Simmer another 5 to 10 minutes. Remove from heat and cool. Taste and add more salt if necessary. Procedure for making pineapple chutney. Combine the vinegar and sugar in a stainless steel saucepan. Bring to a simmer. Stir and simmer until the sugar is dissolved. Add the pineapple to the vinegar mixture. Simmer until the fruit has softened. Strain. Return the juice to the pan and set the pineapple aside. Add the chili, ginger, and spice to the juice in the pan. Simmer until reduced and syrupy. Mix the spiced juice with the drained pineapple. Refrigerate. Next is a procedure for making cucumber raita. In a small dry skillet over moderate heat, toast the cumin seeds until aromatic and slightly darker shades of brown. Remove from the heat and grind in a spice grinder. Peel and grate the cucumber coarsely. Place the yogurt in a bowl and whip until smooth. Add the ground cumin, grated cucumber, salt, pepper, and cayenne. Mix well. Lastly is the procedure for making nuoc cham, Vietnamese dipping sauce. Firstly, pound the garlic, chilies, and sugar in a mortar to make a paste. Place the garlic paste in a bowl and mix in the lime juice, stirring until the sugar is dissolved. Lastly, add the remaining ingredient and mix well. Procedure for making Thai red curry sauce. Heat the oil over moderate heat in a saucepan. Add the curry paste and cook until aromatic. Stir in the water or stock and bring to a simmer. Add the coconut milk and nampla. Bring to a simmer and simmer several minutes to blend flavor. Procedure for making red curry paste. Combine all ingredients in a froth processor. Process until the mixture forms a smooth paste. Refrigerate and use as needed to make curry sauce. Next is a procedure for making green curry paste. Combine all ingredients in a food processor. Process until the mixture forms a smooth paste. Refrigerate and use as needed to make curry sauce. Lastly is Indonesian peanut sauce. Combine all ingredients in a food processor. Process until mixture forms a smooth sauce and refrigerate. Next is the procedure for making Asian sweet and sour sauce. Heat the oil in a saucepan or saute pan over moderate heat. Add the onion. Cook until soft, but do not brown. Add the ginger, sugar, and pineapple. Cook until sugar and fruit just start to caramelize. Add the lime juice, vinegar, and cayenne. Bring to a simmer, then remove from the heat and put all ingredients into a blender and blend to a smooth puree. Pass the sauce through a tamiz or fine strainer, forcing through as much of the solid as possible. Alternatively, pass through a foot mill fitted with a fine blade. Next, procedure for making yakitori sauce. Combine all ingredients in a saucepan. Simmer until sugar is dissolved and liquid is reduced by about 1/4. Next is a procedure for making ponzu sauce. Heat the mirin in a small saucepan. Tilt the pan toward the flame to ignite and burn off alcohol. Combine the mirin with the remaining ingredient and refrigerate overnight. Then strain it and press on the solid to force out all liquid. Next is a procedure for making sesame miso sauce. Over low heat, toast the sesame seed in a dry saute pan until aromatic and slightly darkened. Grind the toasted seed in a mortar or spice grinder. Mix the ground sesame seed with the remaining ingredient. Stir well. Procedure for making port wine sauce. Using a stainless steel saucepan, reduce the port wine over moderate heat by 3/4. Add the glazed leavened. If desired, thicken slightly with a slurry of cornstarch or arrowroot mixed with cold water. Season to taste with salt and white pepper. Just before serving, swirl in the raw butter, which is monter au beurre. Procedure for making a barbecue sauce. Place all ingredients in a heavy saucepan and bring to a boil. Reduce heat and simmer until slightly reduced and flavor are well blend. Stir occasionally during real cooking. Does not scorch on the bottom. Add just seasoning. Next is procedure for making applesauce. Cut the apple into quarters and remove core. Skin may be left on because they will be strained out later. Red peel will color the sauce pink. Dash the apple coarsely. Place apple in a heavy saucepan with water. Cover it. Set the pan over low heat and cook the apple slowly until very soft. Stir occasionally. Add sugar to taste. The amount needed depends on the sweetness of the apples. Salt shall be tart. Add a little lemon juice to taste. Pass the sauce through a foot mill. If the sauce is too thin or watery, let simmer uncovered until thickened. Serve warm or cold with roast or duck. Next is a procedure for making Soy Bbq Sauce. In a sauce pot, combine all ingredients except oil. Bring to a simmer, reduce by 1/3 and strain it. Add oil before using. Mix well to emulsify. This is easily done in a blender. Procedure for making Cumberland sauce. Use a zester to remove the fine strip of zest from the orange and lemons. Cut the zest from the fruit with a paring knife, removing the colored part only, not the white pit, and cut the zest into a fine julienne. Juice the orange and lemon. Measure the juice. Blanch the zest in a simmering water for 10 minutes. Drain, melt the jelly in a saucepan and stir in it wine. Mix a little of the orange juice into the mustard and ginger to make a thin paste. Add the spices and remaining juice to a pan and bring to a boil. Remove from the heat and add salt and a cayenne to the taste. Add the blended cheese, zest, and cool the sauce. Serve cold or at a room temperature to accompany paste and other charcuterie. Procedure for making Chili Bbq Sauce. Combine all ingredients in a heavy sauce pot. Bring to a boil. Simmer for 15 minutes and strain it. Add the seasoning with salt if necessary. It's not likely more salt will be needed because the soy sauce is already salty. Next is the procedure for making fruit salsa. Chop the melon, papaya, mango, bell pepper, and jalapeno into fine dish. Combine the chopped fruit with their juice, pepper, onion, lime juice, and cilantro in a bowl. Season to taste with salt and refrigerate it until served. Next is the procedure for making shallot oil. Combine the chopped shallots and the oil in a jar. Shake well. Let stand for 30 minutes and refrigerate it. The oil is ready to use, which may be in 1 to 2 hours. After 2 days, strain the oil through a pepper coffee filter. Store it in the refrigerator. Next is the procedure for making aioli. Crush the garlic to a fine paste with salt. Add the egg yolks and beat until thoroughly combined, a few drops at a time. Begin adding the olive oil. Beating constantly after half of the oil is added. The mixture will be very stiff. Add a few drops of the lemon juice at the point. Continue adding the remaining oil gradually from time to time. Add a few more drops of the lemon juice. The finished aioli shall be like a stiff mayonnaise. Next is the procedure for making horseradish sauce, also called sauce Rayford. Whip the cream until stiff, but do not overwhip. Mix the horseradish with a little whipped cream and then fold into the rest of the cream. Season to taste with salt. Next is the procedure for making cocktail sauce. Combine all the ingredients and mix it, and then let it chill. Next is the procedure for making Magnute sauce. Combine all ingredients and chill, and serve for in 1 liter ounce, which is 30 milliliter per portion, as a cocktail sauce for oyster or clam on the half shell. Next is the procedure for making fig compote. Trim figs by cutting off hard stem end. Cut the figs into medium dice. Combine all ingredients in a saucepan and bring to a boil. Reduce heat and simmer until the liquid has evaporated. Serve warm or cold. Next is the procedure for making cold snap pea Caulis. Blanch the snap peas in boiling water, salted water for 1 minute. Drain and immediately refresh in ice water. Leave peas in ice water until completely cold and drain it well. Place peas in a blender and add the water, salt and sugar. Blend to a smooth puree. If blender is too small, using about half the peas, water, salt and sugar. Strain the puree through a chinoise, pressing down on the solid to extract all the liquid. Rinse out and drain blender jar. Return the pea puree to the jar and add the xanthan gum. Blend until lightly thickened and strain again through a chinoise. Refrigerated until needed. Next is the procedure for making basil sauce. Blanch the basil leaf in boiling salted water for 2 minutes. Drain and immediately refresh in ice water, and then drain it. Next is the place the basil leaf and cold water in a blender and blend it until smooth. Strain to a chinoise. Place the basil liquid in a clean blender jar and add salt. Turn the blender on low speed. Add the ultra-text and blend until the mixture is thickened, 2 minutes or more. Strain through a chinoise and refrigerated it until needed. Next is the procedure for making Parmesan foam. In a small saucepan, bring the milk to a boil and remove from the heat. Then add the cheese and stir. Let stand for 30 minutes at room temperature. Strain to a chinoise. Press on the solid to extract all the liquid, but do not force the solid through a strainer. Mix in cream, add salt to taste and refrigerate it. Pour the cream mixture into a foaming canister. Close canister and charge with a neck stroke outside N2O cartridge. Make foam by inverting canister and pulling on a level. Next is the procedure for making raspberry bits. Combine the apple juice, raspberry juice, sugar and sodium arginate in a blender. Blend until well combined. Let the mixture stand for several hours in the refrigerator. Dissolve the calcium chloride in the water, and using a syringe, drop droplets of a raspberry mixture in the calcium solution. Leave in calcium bath about 1 minute, and the longer they are left in, the firmer they become. Remove the bits from calcium bath and rinse in a strainer.
Hi guys, so we will done for our presentation about a stock and sauce. If you are interested for this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get more information about the food. Thank you for watching. See you for the next video. Bye!